welcome back to another Q&A video with myself, Renata from Nourish with Renata, your intuitive nutrition coach, here to empower you to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. And I'm joined by the most amazing person in the world. It's Coach Mac.
Wow, the most amazing. Whew, I feel honored. But yes, like she said, I am Coach Mac, the founding health coach of Running with Bacon, where I help women become their fittest and strongest selves, one small step at a time.
So today's question comes from a very special person, and that is my mother-in-law. Shout out to Sandra. So one of the things that we've been discussing a lot is how to get your protein intake up. So if you're really focused on increasing your protein, sometimes this can feel like an insurmountable goal because you're just looking at MyFitnessPal or whatever you're using to track your protein and thinking, how am I supposed to get like 150 grams of protein today? So Mac, what are your tips for increasing your protein intake?
So I have a few recommendations. The first, though, I want to make sure that I point out that for most women, the recommended, I don't know why I was saying that weird, the recommended amount of protein, in my opinion, is really low. So just because it's the recommended amount, I think that's more like the recommended to just kind of be a human being. It's not to be your healthiest, best self. So I want to point that out, that if adding more protein in feels like a really big challenge for you, know that it's a huge range of what will make you feel your best. So I might experiment with that and figuring out what amount of protein does have me feeling my best. Because if stuffing yourself full of protein every day has you feeling kind of gross and like, oh, I can't eat another bite, maybe that's not the right amount of protein. But the amount or the tips for increasing your amounts of proteins. One thing that I love doing, and you actually have a fantastic recipe for a chocolate peanut butter smoothie. Side note, Renata is the smoothie queen. If you have not had one of her smoothies, I cannot recommend it enough. She has, I think, a 7-day smoothie challenge. She has tons of recipes up on her site. Her smoothies are so good, and you can add a scoop of protein powder to them. And so that's my number one tip, is make Renata smoothies. So let's go get that one out of the way. After that is you can add protein powder to other things. It doesn't have to be a protein shake or a protein smoothie. You can add it to different sauces and things like that. Like they have unflavored. So most of us think of like vanilla protein powder, chocolate protein powder. You can get unflavored and you can add it to different sauces and things like that to help up your protein intake. I, however, am a huge carnivore, not only carnivore, but I love meat, chicken, pork, beef, all the things. So I don't find it a challenge to eat that amount of protein because I love it. I think it's so good. And I sneak eggs in with every opportunity that I can, which are a huge source of protein and healthy fats and things like that. So I honestly don't struggle with this. So it's hard for me to give tips other than drink your protein, because it's easier sometimes to drink those calories and the protein than it is for some people. If it's a struggle to eat that much food, like just that volume, we tend to be able to drink them a little bit easier. So that's my best tip, Renata smoothies, but to drink your protein also. What are the tips that you have for us?
Yeah, well, thank you for your shout out. I appreciate that. I love those tips. And especially in terms of protein powder, that can be a really helpful way to maximize your protein intake, especially not just in meals, but also in snack time. The other thing that I want to mention too is when it comes to protein, some studies have actually shown that you can increase your protein intake to around 40 grams at each meal without noticing any adverse reactions. And that amount has been shown to be really helpful for things like weight loss. So aiming for at least 20 up to 40 grams of protein per meal. If you're having 3 meals a day, obviously you're getting up to 120 grams of protein just through the 3 meals. And then the other thing to remember too is focus on a protein-rich snack. So if you are feeling a little peckish, at mid-morning or mid-afternoon, or even for dessert, look at what could be a great protein-rich snack. So some of my favorites, you've already talked about eggs. I love me some eggs. You can have hard-boiled eggs that you just keep in the fridge. Amazing. You can also make a really simple chicken salad. So literally like rotisserie chicken that you've either made or from the store, mix it with a little mayo, maybe some sriracha. You can eat it with some crudité. Another thing that I really, really love is good quality protein bars that you can purchase from the grocery store. You can bring it with you anywhere, well, mostly anywhere, but you can keep it in your bag. So that's a really fantastic one. And honestly, Greek yogurt, if you are able to have dairy, Greek yogurt, generally speaking, is very high in protein. You can add berries, you can add nuts to it to give it something a little bit extra and make it even more delicious as a dessert late at night too.
Such good tips. And wasn't kidding. I'll link Renata's smoothie stuff in the description. Go get it. Go make her. She has them in her cookbook as well, which you can see is up there behind her in her video. So get her cookbook. It has, when I say the smoothie queen, I mean it. So to start there, do that first, and then try her other tips, because you won't be mad about the smoothie one. Try that first. So. Great question though, and great tips for us. We will see you guys in the next one.